My name is Jake, and today I'll tell you about the evening my best friend Kevin and I decided to escape the city's hustle and bustle by venturing into the quiet depths of the forest. We were typical teenagers seeking a secluded spot to unwind. Armed with a pack of cigarettes and a lighter, we slipped into the woods like shadowy fugitives. The forest greeted us with a cool embrace, its scent of pine needles and earth a soothing balm to our restless souls. We walked along a narrow trail that wound deeper into the heart of ancient trees where sunlight. Finally, we found a tranquil clearing with a fallen log, a perfect spot to relax. Kevin flicked open his lighter, igniting a small flame that danced in the twilight. In the distance, faint echoes of a football match drifted through the trees, a stark contrast to our serene sanctuary. We laughed, but then, amidst our laughter and the rustling leaves, I noticed him, a figure atop a nearby hill, silhouetted against the fading sun. The man stood motionless, as if melded into the natural landscape, his gaze fixed on us with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. Kevin remained oblivious, exhaling smoke rings into the tranquil air. As the shadows lengthened, the man began descending the hill with purposeful strides. Panic surged through me, and I nudged Kevin, urgency tingling in my voice. He stubbed out the cigarette, sensing my unease. Without a word, we scrambled to our feet, leaves crunching under our sneakers. The man in the distance, the football match roared on, oblivious to our unfolding drama. Its distant cheers clashed discordantly with the tension of our fleeing steps. Adrenaline surged as we darted between trees, our hearts pounding in sync with our breaths. The stranger closed the distance. Finally, we burst into a moonlit clearing, gasping for breath. An old cabin stood weathered and worn, its time-worn boards creaking with age. Kevin yanked the door open, and we stumbled inside, plunging into the darkness that enveloped us. Huddled in a corner of the cabin, we listened to our own rapid heartbeats, the sound magnified in the oppressive silence. Outside, the man pounded on the door, his voice a low, gravelly demand for entry. Fear gripped us, cold and clammy, as we exchanged bewildered glance. "What does he want?" Kevin whispered, voice trembling. As the stranger settled into a worn chair by the cabin's flickering firelight, a silence heavy with uncertainty hung between us. His presence, once ominous, now seemed more human, vulnerable even, as he gathered his thoughts in the dim glow. "My name is Marcus," he began, his voice gravelly but softened by the crackling of the fire. "I've been wandering these woods for years, seeking solace from the world outside." Kevin and I exchanged wary glances, unsure of what to make of Marcus's sudden appearance and his cryptic statement. The cabin felt smaller now, its walls echoing with the weight of our collective apprehension. Marcus continued, his eyes distant as he spoke of his life, a life intertwined with the forest, shaped by victories and haunted by failures. He was once a football coach, revered in the town for his passion and dedication, but fate had dealt him a cruel blow, one that shattered his dreams and drove him into the solitude of the woods. "I lost everything," Marcus confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "My team, my career, everything that defined me." His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken sorrow. At that moment, the distant cheers of the football match seemed to mock his loss, a stark reminder of what once was and could never be again. "We saw you watching us," I ventured, breaking the tense silence. "Why?" Marcus's gaze flickered to me, his expression pained yet strangely relieved to have someone to confide in. "I saw you seek refuge here," he admitted. I needed to make sure you were safe." The sincerity in his voice was palpable, his concern genuine, despite the initial fear he had instilled in us. He spoke of his own regrets, of the decisions that had led him to this solitary existence. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows across the cabin's walls. Hours passed, marked by Marcus's revelations and our own reflections on his story. The football match's distant sounds faded into the background, replaced by the quiet camaraderie of shared confidence in the rustic cabin. As dawn approached, Marcus stood, his weary frame silhouetted against the dim light filtering through the cabin's window. "Thank you for listening," he said, his voice tinged with gratitude. "I should go." Kevin and I nodded silently, our own thoughts swirling with the weight of Marcus's story. We watched as he disappeared into the early morning mist. leaving behind a lingering sense of introspection and newfound understanding. The cabin, once a refuge from fear, now held memories of an unexpected bond forged in the quiet depths of the forest. We remained there for a while longer, contemplating Marcus's words and the fragile threads that connect lives in unforeseen ways. As the sun rose over the forest canopy, casting its golden light upon the world awakening anew, we knew that this strange, unforgettable night would forever linger in our hearts as a testament to the transformative power of shared stories and unlikely encounters. After Marcus left, Kevin and I remained in the cabin, enveloped in a contemplative silence. The morning sun filtered through the trees, casting a warm glow into the rustic interior. The events of the night lingered in the air like wisps of smoke from a dying fire, leaving us with a profound sense of introspection. "Do you think he'll be all right?" Kevin finally broke the silence, his voice reflecting the lingering concern we both felt for Marcus. I shrugged, still processing everything Marcus had shared. "I hope so." He seemed burdened. Kevin nodded thoughtfully, his gaze drifting to the cabin's window where sunlight danced on the leaves outside. "I never expected our night in the woods to turn out like this." "Me neither," I admitted, a hint of awe in my voice. "It's like we stumbled into someone else's story." We spent the morning recounting Marcus's tale, piecing together fragments of his life that he had laid bare before us. His struggles mirrored our own in unexpected ways, reminding us of the complexities hidden beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. As midday approached, we ventured outside, the forest alive with the vibrant colors of early autumn. The air was crisp, carrying the earthy scent of fallen leaves and pine. We walked along familiar trails, retracing our steps from the previous night's frantic flight. "This place feels different now," Kevin remarked, his tone thoughtful as he scanned the tranquil surroundings. "Yeah," I agreed, my mind still wandering back to Marcus's haunting presence on the hilltop. "It's like we're seeing it through new eyes." We stopped by the clearing where we had first encountered Marcus, the spot now bathed in sunlight and serene calm. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead, a soothing backdrop to our reflections. "What do you think we should do now?" Kevin asked, breaking the peaceful silence. I considered his question, feeling a newfound sense of responsibility weighing on my shoulders. "Maybe we could, I don't know, check on Marcus," I suggested tentatively. "See if there's anything we can do to help." Kevin nodded, his expression serious. "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. He helped us last night. Maybe we can return the favor." With a renewed sense of purpose, we set off deeper into the forest, retracing Marcus's usual paths based on what he had shared with us. The woods seemed quieter now, as if holding its breath in anticipation of our search. After a while, we came upon a small clearing where Marcus had mentioned finding solace. A makeshift bench overlooked a serene pond, its surface rippling gently in the breeze. We sat there in companionable silence, absorbing the tranquility that Marcus had sought in this secluded spot. "I hope he's okay," Kevin said softly, breaking the silence. "Me too," I replied, my gaze fixed on the peaceful waters before us. "Maybe he just needs to know someone cares." We lingered there for a while longer, offering silent support to Marcus in our thoughts. The forest around us seemed to echo with the quiet understanding that had blossomed between us and the stranger whose life had intersected with ours in such a profound way. As the afternoon wore on, we reluctantly made our way back to the cabin, carrying with us the weight of Marcus's story and the unspoken promise to keep his spirit alive in our hearts. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across our path as we walked, each step a testament to the unexpected journeys that life often presents. As we reached the cabin once more, preparing to return to our own lives, we knew that Marcus had left an indelible mark on us, a reminder of compassion, resilience, and the enduring power of human connection forged in the quiet depths of a forest sanctuary. Days passed since our encounter with Marcus in the forest, but his story continued to weigh heavily on our minds. Kevin and I found ourselves returning to the cabin often, hoping to catch another glimpse of the mysterious stranger who had shared so much with us. One crisp autumn afternoon, as we approached the familiar clearing where Marcus had first appeared to us, we spotted him sitting on the same makeshift bench by the tranquil pond. His silhouette was framed against the golden hues of the setting sun, a solitary figure lost in contemplation. "Marcus!" Kevin called out, breaking the peaceful silence that surrounded us. Marcus turned towards us, his expression a mix of surprise and subdued warmth. "Jake, Kevin," he greeted us quietly, his voice carrying across the stillness of the forest. "We've been looking for you," I admitted, feeling a sense of relief to see him again. Marcus nodded slowly, his eyes distant, as if caught in a distant memory. "I didn't expect you to come back," he confessed, his gaze returning to the serene waters before him. "We wanted to make sure you were all right," Kevin explained earnestly, stepping closer to the bench where Marcus sat. A moment passed in silence before Marcus sighed heavily, his shoulders sagging under the weight of unspoken burdens. "I appreciate your concern," he finally said, his voice tinged with a hint of vulnerability. Sensing his need for companionship, we joined him on the bench, the three of us enveloped in the quiet camaraderie of shared understanding. The pond shimmered before us, mirroring the vibrant colors of the surrounding foliage as the sun dipped lower in the sky. "You never told us why you were watching us that night," I ventured, breaking the silence that had settled between us. Marcus hesitated, his gaze fixed on the tranquil surface of the pond. "It's complicated," he began slowly, as if carefully choosing his words. "I saw something in you both that reminded me of a time long past." Intrigued, we listened intently as Marcus began to unravel the threads of his own past, weaving a tale of ambition, passion, and the bitter taste of defeat. He spoke of his days as a revered football coach, leading a promising team towards victory and glory. But beneath the surface of success lay the seeds of his eventual downfall. "I was young and driven," Marcus continued, his voice tinged with regret. "I pushed them too hard and made decisions that cost us everything." Kevin and I exchanged a glance, recognizing the parallels between Marcus's story and our own lives as teenagers grappling with expectations and aspirations. "I came to these woods seeking solace," Marcus admitted, his voice barely above a whisper, "to escape the judgment and disappointment that awaited me in town." Silence descended upon us once more, the weight of Marcus's revelations settling in our hearts. The forest around us seemed to hold its breath, a silent witness to the cathartic release of years of pent-up emotions. "You're not alone, Marcus," Kevin spoke up gently, breaking the somber mood. "We all make mistakes." Marcus looked at us then, gratitude mingling with the shadows in his eyes. "Thank you," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the clearing, Marcus stood from the bench, his movements slow and deliberate. "I should go," he said quietly, his gaze lingering on us for a moment longer. "Will you be back?" I asked, unable to hide the hope in my voice. Marcus offered us a small, melancholy smile. "Perhaps," he replied cryptically, his form disappearing into the gathering dusk. Kevin and I sat in silence for a while longer, watching the last traces of daylight fade from the sky. The pond reflected the stars now, a serene reminder of the unexpected bond that had formed between us and the enigmatic stranger whose presence had changed our lives forever. As we made our way back to the cabin, the forest whispered around us, carrying with it the echo of Marcus's journey and the timeless lessons learned in the quiet depths of nature's sanctuary. Weeks passed since our last encounter with Marcus in the forest. Kevin and I returned to our routines in town, but thoughts of Marcus and his story continued to occupy our minds. The autumn days grew shorter, painting the landscape in hues of gold and crimson as we navigated the familiar paths of school and weekend hangouts. One Saturday afternoon, Kevin burst into my room with an excited gleam in his eyes. "Jake, you won't believe this!" he exclaimed, waving a crumpled newspaper in the air. I sat up, intrigued by Kevin's sudden burst of enthusiasm. "What is it?" He spread out the newspaper on my desk, pointing to a small article nestled among the local news section. The headline read, "Local coach rekindles passion for youth football." "Is that Marcus?" I asked, squinting at the black and white photo of a familiar face smiling proudly amidst a group of young boys in football jerseys. Kevin nodded eagerly. "He's coaching again, and not just any team, it's the Junior League." A surge of warmth filled my chest as I read the article detailing Marcus's return to coaching after years of self-imposed exile. The community had rallied around him, recognizing his experience and dedication to mentoring young athletes. "We have to go see him," Kevin declared, his eyes shining with determination. I nodded in agreement, already envisioning our return to the forest where our paths had first crossed. Let's find out when the next game is. The following weekend, Kevin and I found ourselves standing on the sidelines of a local football field, the crisp autumn air carrying the sounds of cheering parents and the rhythmic thud of soccer balls. Marcus stood on the sidelines, his presence commanding respect as he coached his team with a blend of firm guidance and gentle encouragement. "He's really good with them," Kevin remarked, watching as Marcus knelt to give pointers to a young midfielder. I smiled, feeling a swell of pride for the stranger who had become an unexpected mentor in our lives. Marcus's journey from solitude in the forest to newfound purpose on the football field resonated deeply with us, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. After the game, we approached Marcus, who greeted us with a warm smile. "Jake, Kevin," he said warmly, as if we were old friends. "It's amazing what you're doing," I began, struggling to find the right words to express our admiration. Marcus waved off our praise modestly. "I have you two to thank," he admitted, his eyes reflecting genuine gratitude. "You reminded me of why I started coaching in the first place." We spent the afternoon with Marcus, listening to his plans for the team and sharing stories of our own experiences since our last meeting. The bond between us had deepened, forged in the quiet moments of vulnerability and understanding we had shared in the heart of the forest. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the football field, Marcus invited us to join him for a cup of coffee at a nearby cafe. We talked late into the evening, exchanging laughter and dreams for the future, united by a newfound sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. In the weeks and months that followed, Kevin and I continued to visit Marcus at the football field, cheering on his team and offering our support whenever needed. Marcus's journey had come full circle, from the depths of despair to a place of renewed purpose and community. And as we stood together on the sidelines, watching Marcus guide his young players with wisdom and compassion, we knew that our paths had crossed for a reason, a reminder that even in the quietest corners of life, hope and redemption can flourish. The season marched on, the days growing shorter and the air crisper with the onset of winter. Kevin and I continued our ritual of attending Marcus's games, witnessing firsthand the transformation he had instilled in his junior league team. Each match felt like a chapter in a larger story of resilience and growth, both for the players and for Marcus himself. On a particularly chilly Saturday afternoon, anticipation hung thick in the air as Marcus's team prepared for their final game of the season. The stakes were high. Victory would secure their spot in the regional championship, a dream Marcus had nurtured throughout the season. As Kevin and I arrived at the field, we were greeted by a sea of supporters, parents, siblings, and friends, cheering and waving homemade banners adorned with the team's colors. Among them stood a woman, strikingly beautiful with a warmth that radiated through her smile. She was Emma, the mother of Lucas, the team's star midfielder and a pillar of support for both her son and Marcus. Emma's presence added a new layer of emotion to the game, her unwavering encouragement a testament to the bond between a mother and her child. She stood near the sideline, her eyes never leaving the field as she clutched a scarf in the team's colors, her heart racing with every pass and tackle. Marcus, resplendent in his coaching gear, exuded a calm confidence as he gathered his players for a final pep talk before kickoff. His words were a blend of strategy and inspiration, instilling in them the belief that they could achieve greatness together. "You've worked hard all season for this moment," Marcus declared, his voice carrying over the assembled team. "Now go out there and show them what you're made of." The referee's whistle pierced the air, signaling the start of the match. From the opening minutes, it was clear that both teams were evenly matched, their determination palpable in every sprint and slide tackle. Emma's cheers mingled with the chorus of supporters, urging Lucas and his teammates forward with unwavering passion. Halftime arrived with the score deadlocked at 0-0. Marcus huddled his players on the sidelines, his voice a steady presence amidst the swirling emotions of anticipation and nerves. Kevin and I watched from the stands, exchanging hopeful glances as we waited for the second half to unfold. The game resumed with renewed intensity. Marcus's team, fueled by the coach's halftime adjustments, pressed forward relentlessly. Lucas, displaying the skill and finesse that had earned him admiration throughout the season, orchestrated attacks from midfield, threading passes with precision. With each near miss and defensive clearance, tension mounted on the field and in the stands. Emma, her scarf now clutched tightly in her hands, leaned forward with every promising build-up, her faith in her son and the team unwavering. As the final minutes ticked away, Marcus made a pivotal substitution, injecting fresh energy into the team's forward line. The move paid off. A swift counterattack led to a breakaway, and a well-placed shot found the back of the net, sending the crowd into a frenzy of cheers and applause. Kevin and I leapt to our feet, joining the chorus of jubilation as Marcus's team celebrated their hard-earned lead. Emma's voice rang out above the rest, her pride and joy evident as she hugged fellow parents and supporters in celebration. The final whistle blew, confirming Marcus's team's victory and securing their place in the regional championship. Players embraced on the field, their smiles illuminated by the setting sun, while Marcus stood on the sidelines, his expression a mix of relief and pride. Kevin and I made our way down to the field, eager to congratulate Marcus and the players on their triumph. Emma approached us, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You've been here from the beginning, supporting Lucas and Marcus. It means more than you know." Marcus joined us, his face lit with a smile that mirrored the pride and gratitude in Emma's eyes. "This victory is for all of us," he declared, his voice filled with heartfelt appreciation. "You've been a part of this journey, and I couldn't be more grateful." As the crowd slowly dispersed, Kevin and I lingered on the field, reflecting on the journey that had led us here. Marcus's story had become intertwined with ours, a testament to the power of community, resilience, and the transformative impact of chasing one's passion. And as we walked away from the field that evening, the echoes of cheers and laughter followed us, a reminder that some victories are not just about winning games, but about the bonds forged along the way. The evening settled over the town like a comforting blanket, casting long shadows that stretched across familiar streets and quiet neighborhoods. Kevin and I walked leisurely through the main square, where late-night shoppers bustled around us, their laughter mingling with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee from nearby cafes. "Can you believe all that's happened?" Kevin broke the comfortable silence that had settled between us. I glanced at him with a smile, feeling a warmth in my chest as I recalled the events of the past months. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? From sneaking off into the forest for a smoke to cheering on Marcus and his team. Kevin chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. Who would have thought? We stumbled into something much bigger than us. "That's life, I guess," I mused, reflecting on the twists and turns that had led us here. You never quite know where the path will lead. Our conversation drifted back to Marcus and Emma, their stories intertwining with ours in unexpected ways. Emma's presence at the games had been a constant source of inspiration, a testament to the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. "I've never seen someone so proud," Kevin remarked, recalling the way Emma's eyes had lit up with every pass and tackle. "She's been through a lot, but you could tell this meant the world to her." "And Marcus," I added thoughtfully, "he's more than just a coach. He's like a mentor, guiding these kids not just in football, but in life." Kevin nodded in agreement. "Yeah, he's got away with them. It's not just about winning games, it's about teaching them resilience and teamwork." As we approached a quaint park bathed in soft lamplight, we paused to take in the serene atmosphere. Families strolled along the winding paths, their voices carrying on the crisp evening air. The distant murmur of a fountain provided a soothing backdrop to our reflections. "Do you think Marcus knew we were hiding in that cabin?" Kevin's question broke through the peaceful ambience. "I've wondered about that," I admitted, recalling the moment when Marcus had entered the cabin and shared his own vulnerabilities with us. He seemed to understand more than he let on. "Maybe he saw something in us," Kevin pondered aloud, his gaze fixed on the illuminated fountain. Like we needed that moment as much as he did. The park seemed to hold its breath around us, embracing the quiet exchange of thoughts and memories. I felt a sense of gratitude for the connections we had forged, the unexpected friendships and the lessons learned along the way. "I think," I began slowly, choosing my words with care, that sometimes life puts people in our path for a reason. Marcus, Emma, even the kids on the team, they've shown us that. Kevin nodded thoughtfully, his expression reflecting a newfound understanding. It's about more than just us, he concluded quietly. It's about the impact we have on each other. As we continued our stroll through the park, the twinkling stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, illuminating the path ahead with quiet optimism. The town around us settled into a peaceful lull, a testament to the bonds of community and the resilience found in unexpected places. Here's to unexpected journeys. Kevin raised an imaginary toast to the night sky, his voice filled with gratitude and wonder, and to the people who make them unforgettable. I joined him in the gesture, my heart swelling with appreciation for the stories shared and the connections forged. To Marcus, Emma, and Lucas, I added softly, and to whatever comes next. With that, we walked on, the echoes of victory and camaraderie lingering in our hearts, knowing that some stories never truly end. They simply pave the way for new beginnings. The days melded into weeks as autumn descended upon the town, painting the landscape in hues of amber and gold. Kevin and I found ourselves drawn back to the familiar rhythm of school and football games, yet the memory of our encounter in the forest lingered like a faint whisper in the back of our minds. One crisp Saturday afternoon, as we lounged in the school courtyard during lunch break, a figure approached us with purposeful strides. It was Mrs. Clark, Lucas's mother, a graceful woman with a warmth that radiated from her gentle smile. "Jake, Kevin," she greeted us warmly, her voice carrying a hint of curiosity. "Mind if I join you?" "Of course, Mrs. Clark," I replied, gesturing to the empty bench beside us. Kevin shifted slightly, a mixture of surprise and anticipation evident in his expression. Mrs. Clark settled onto the bench gracefully, her eyes reflecting a blend of gratitude and concern. "I wanted to thank you both," she began softly, her gaze flickering between us, "for being there for Lucas, for Emma, and for Marcus. It means more than you know." Kevin nodded earnestly, his voice sincere. "We're glad we could help. Marcus and the team, they're something special." "They are," Mrs. Clark agreed, a fondness coloring her words. "And you two, you've become a part of that." I glanced at Kevin, sharing a knowing smile. "It's been quite a journey," I admitted, thinking back to our initial reluctance to get involved. Mrs. Clark's expression softened with understanding. "I imagine it has. Lucas has always been passionate about football. It's more than just a game for him. It's a connection to his father." The mention of Lucas's father brought a solemn hush over us. We knew from Marcus that he had been a dedicated coach and mentor to Lucas, instilling in him a love for the game that transcended mere competition. Marcus mentioned something about Lucas's father. Kevin ventured cautiously, his voice respectful. "He sounded like an incredible person." Mrs. Clark nodded, a wistful smile gracing her lips. "He was. John, my husband, believed in the power of sports to teach valuable life lessons. He coached Lucas's team until—" Her voice faltered momentarily, a fleeting shadow crossing her features. "He passed away," I finished gently, recalling Marcus's brief mention of the tragedy that had left Lucas and Emma grappling with loss. "Yes," Mrs. Clark acknowledged quietly, her gaze distant for a moment. "It's been challenging, but Lucas, he finds solace in football. It's his way of honoring his father's memory." Kevin and I exchanged a glance, moved by Mrs. Clark's openness and Lucas's resilience. The bond between mother and son was palpable, a testament to the strength found in family ties and shared passions. "I know it hasn't been easy for Emma either," Mrs. Clark continued softly, her thoughts turning to her friend. "She's been through so much, and yet she finds the strength to support Lucas and Marcus." "She's incredible," Kevin murmured, his admiration evident. "She is," Mrs. Clark agreed warmly. "And Marcus, he's been a pillar of support for both of them. I'm grateful that Lucas has someone like him in his life." As the school bell rang in the distance, signaling the end of lunch break, Mrs. Clark rose gracefully from the bench. "Thank you again," she said sincerely, her gratitude shining through. "For everything." "We're here any time," I assured her, echoing Kevin's nod of agreement. With a final smile, Mrs. Clark turned and walked away, her presence leaving a lingering sense of connection and shared purpose. Kevin and I watched her go, contemplating the conversations and revelations that had woven our lives together with those of Marcus, Emma, and Lucas. As we headed to our next class, the autumn breeze whispered through the courtyard, carrying with it a sense of renewal and resilience. Our journey with Marcus and the team taught us valuable lessons about compassion, perseverance, and the enduring power of community. Marcus was right, Kevin remarked quietly, breaking the thoughtful silence between us. Life's full of surprises. And some of them, I added with a smile, turn out to be exactly what we didn't know we needed. As the weeks unfolded, the town seemed to settle into a familiar routine tinged with anticipation. The football season approached its climax, with each match bringing a surge of excitement and nerves. Kevin and I found ourselves more deeply entrenched in the team's journey, not just as spectators, but as steadfast supporters. One crisp Saturday morning, we gathered at the town's stadium, where the autumn sun cast a golden hue over the field. The atmosphere buzzed with energy as fans trickled in, their cheers punctuating the air with anticipation. "Do you think they're ready?" Kevin asked, his gaze fixed on the players warming up on the field. "Marcus has been pushing them hard." "They've come a long way," I replied, scanning the field where Lucas and his teammates honed their skills under Marcus's watchful eye. "I think today's their chance to show how far they've come." The stands filled with a diverse crowd, parents, friends, and townsfolk, all united in their support for the team. Among them stood Emma and Mrs. Clark, their presence a reassuring presence amidst the sea of faces. "They've been through so much," Kevin murmured, his eyes lingering on Emma, who stood with quiet determination. "They've found strength in each other," I observed, echoing Mrs. Clark's earlier sentiments. "Marcus has been a guiding force for them." As the match began, the stadium erupted into cheers and chants. The opposing team put up a fierce defense, challenging Lucas and his teammates at every turn. The game was a testament to perseverance and teamwork, each pass and tackle echoing the months of preparation and dedication. "We've got this!" Kevin shouted, his voice blending with the chorus of encouragement from the stands. "Come on, Lucas!" The match unfolded with exhilarating intensity, each minute ticking by with the promise of victory or defeat. Marcus's coaching was evident in every strategic move, every decisive play that brought the team closer to their goal. In the final moments of the game, with the score tied, Lucas seized an opportunity, a breakaway down the field. The crowd held its breath as he sprinted towards the goal, his determination palpable. "Go, Lucas!" Emma's voice rose above the din, her hands clutching the railing in front of her. Kevin and I leaned forward, our hearts pounding in unison with the team's effort. Lucas's shot sailed past the goalkeeper, finding the back of the net with precision. The stadium erupted into jubilation, fans leaping to their feet in celebration. "We did it!" Kevin exclaimed, his voice raw with emotion as Lucas's teammates swarmed him in triumph. Marcus's face lit up with pride from the sidelines, his belief in the team validated with each exultant cheer from the crowd. Emma wiped away tears of joy, her gaze fixed on her son, who had found solace and success on the field. As the players gathered for a post-match huddle, Marcus addressed them with heartfelt praise and encouragement. His words carried across the stadium, a testament to the resilience and spirit that had brought them to this moment of victory. "You've shown what it means to fight for each other," Marcus proclaimed, his voice resonating with pride. "This is just the beginning." The team exchanged embraces, their unity a testament to the bonds forged through hardship and triumph. Kevin and I joined the crowd in applause, our hearts full of gratitude for being a part of this journey. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the stadium, Kevin turned to me with a grin. "Who would have thought we'd end up here?" "Life's full of surprises," I replied with a smile, echoing Marcus's earlier sentiment, "and I'm grateful for every twist and turn." In the days that followed the exhilarating victory at the stadium, our town seemed to bask in a newfound sense of unity and optimism. The football team's triumph had not only brought joy to its supporters, but it also sparked conversations about resilience, community, and the power of sports to uplift spirits. Kevin and I found ourselves reflecting on the journey that had led us here, the chance encounter in the forest, our reluctant involvement with Marcus and the team, and the bonds forged through shared experiences. "It's crazy to think how it all started," Kevin remarked one afternoon as we lounged by the riverbank, skipping stones across the water. We were just looking for a quiet place to smoke, and ended up finding a whole lot more, I added, watching the ripples spread across the surface of the river. Marcus, Emma, Lucas, they've become a big part of our lives. Kevin nodded thoughtfully, his gaze fixed on the horizon. Do you think they'll be okay now? I think they're stronger than ever, I replied with conviction. They've faced challenges that would have broken others, but they've come through it together. As we talked, our conversation turned to the future. College applications, dreams of traveling, and the uncertainty that lay beyond the familiar confines of our small town. Yet amidst the uncertainty, there was a newfound sense of purpose and resilience that had taken root within us. A few days later, Kevin and I found ourselves at the town square, where a small gathering had gathered to celebrate the football team's success. Marcus stood at the center, surrounded by players, parents, and townsfolk who had come to express their gratitude and admiration. Thank you all, Marcus began, his voice carrying a mixture of humility and pride. This season has been about more than just wins and losses. It's been about coming together as a community, supporting each other through thick and thin. The crowd nodded in agreement, a ripple of applause echoing through the square. Emma stood beside Marcus, her smile radiant as she looked out at the familiar faces that had become a source of strength and solidarity. Lucas, Marcus continued, turning to his star player who stood at his side, you've shown incredible courage and determination. Your father would have been proud. Lucas nodded, his gaze steady as he acknowledged the weight of Marcus's words. Thank you, coach, he replied quietly, his voice carrying across the square, and thank you all for believing in us. The celebration continued into the evening, with music, laughter, and shared stories filling the air. Kevin and I joined in, sharing moments with Marcus, Emma, Lucas, and their families, moments that reaffirmed the bonds of friendship and community that had been forged through adversity. As the night wore on and the town square emptied, Kevin and I found ourselves walking home under a canopy of stars. The air was crisp with the promise of autumn, and the river murmured softly beside us, a reminder of the steady flow of life and its unexpected turns. I guess this is where our story ends, Kevin mused, his voice tinged with nostalgia. Or maybe it's just the beginning, I countered, feeling a sense of gratitude for the winding path that had led us here. Kevin grinned, nudging me playfully. Who knows what's next? As we reached the familiar bend in the river, where the town's lights twinkled in the distance, I glanced back at the path we had walked. The forest, the stadium, the riverbank. Each place held memories of moments that had shaped us, moments that had taught us about resilience, compassion, and the enduring power of community. Whatever it is, I replied with a smile, I think we'll be ready. And with that, we continued our journey home, hearts light with the knowledge that, no matter where life took us, we had found a place in the tapestry of stories that defined our town, a story of hope, friendship, and the remarkable resilience of the human spirit.